Okay, hi everyone. So we meet again in our philosophy of language education class, and we are going to continue our discussion about the second language teaching. So in this opportunity, we are going to talk about the goals of second language teaching, the objectives of why we teach a second language. Are you ready? Okay, so for some people, learning a second language means a particular achievement, something which somebody can feel proud of. So it is an achievement. But for many other people, learning a second language is just a common thing. It is ordinary, nothing special, and it is not a special achievement, just a common thing, okay, in their life. Now, what about you? What do you think about learning a second language? Do you feel that you become more special person by learning a second language? Perhaps yes. Here there is a very interesting example about the learning of a second language and followed by another language and the other languages. Okay, so a boy in Tanzania spoke Kihaya at home, and he needed Kiswahili in elementary school. He also needed English in secondary school. So at home, he needed Kihaya. In elementary school, he needed Swahili, and in secondary school, he needed English. What happened after that is that he trained to be a priest, for which he needed Latin. But he also learned French out of the curiosity at the same time. Okay, already 5 different languages. What happened next? He went as a priest to Uganda and Kenya, where he needed Rukiga and Kikamba. And he is now in Illinois, where he needs Spanish to communicate with his parishioners. So what do you think about this example? Somebody can speak so many different languages and he keeps learning new languages, and he managed to do that. So isn't it extraordinary? Yeah, amazing, right? Then I also would like to give you some more examples that in daily life actually people can speak more than 2 languages. So Cameroon has 2 official languages for lingua francas and 285 native languages. And most people use 4 to 5 languages in the course of a day. So in a day people can switch using different languages. Even in Europe, 56% of the citizens of European Union know at least one foreign language. And foreign language is different from a second language. Okay, you see, so in daily life people can speak with different languages. So the conclusion is that knowing a second language is a normal part of human existence, and it may well be unusual to know only one language in our life. I think most of us know at least 2 different languages, and because we also learn English as our foreign language, then I'm sure we speak at least 3 different languages. We know English, we know Bahasa Indonesia, and we also know Japanese or Sundanese or our mother tongue. Perhaps some of you speak Arabic as well and the other languages. So at least for us, we learn 3 different languages. Now let's look back at the history. So in the past, language is said or is defined as an abstract entity. So a language belongs to a nation, whether German, French, English, or Chinese. And the everyday use of a language effectively stops at the borders of a country, say Japanese in Japan or Korean in Korea. So if people go outside Korea, then they will speak a different language. Yeah, and then the native speakers of the language are born and live within the country. So in the past, language belongs to a nation. Like Indonesian belong to, bahasa Indonesia belongs to Indonesia. Yeah, Japanese belong to Japan. Yeah, Korean belongs to Korea. Chinese belong to China. Yeah, and the logical target of the language for the local languages may be the language and the culture of the native speakers. So the objective of teaching this kind of language is to teach the culture and also the language of the native speakers. However, what happened after that is that languages may have native speakers spreading across neighboring countries, not just confined to a single country. Yeah, for example, supercentral languages in Swan's terms like Swahili, Arabic, and Chinese, they have many native speakers spreading all over the world, not just in a particular country. And a more interesting fact is that some languages do not even have nation homes. They just spread across several countries without being recognized in any of them, say Romani in many countries of Europe. And still, other languages are spoken within the boundaries of one country, and they may not be the official language of the state, such as Basque and Catalan in Spain or Scottish Gaelic in Scotland. So although a language is spoken by most of the community, but it doesn't mean that this language can be an official language. Okay, so there is no guarantee that because a language is spoken by many people within a country, then this language becomes the official language. So there is no guarantee about it. So languages can be said of having very different status. It can be a mother tongue, a second language, official language, lingua franca. Okay. Now, what are the roles of second language in people's life? So at least here we have 5 different roles of a second language in the community's life. So number 1, second language supports bilingualism. Second language is also used for religious purposes or religious use, and second language can be the official language. Second language supports multilingualism, and the last one, second language supports what we call internationalism. Okay, so at least 5 roles. Now we are talking about these 5 roles one by one. Let's talk about bilingualism. Remember bilingualism? So here we have bilingualism by choice. So some people speak 2 languages because their parents decided to bring them up bilingually at home. So this is what we call elite bilingualism. And elite bilingualism is not forced on the parents by society or by the educational systems, but it is their free choice. So there is no pressure, there is no forces to make people bilingual, but it is their choice. And often one of the languages involved is the central language of the country, and the other language is a local language spoken by one parent as a native. So in bilingualism, one language is the central language of the country, and the other language is the local language spoken by the parent. Okay. So what are the advantages of bilingualism? So number one, children who know a second language are believed to be better at separating semantic from phonetic aspects of words. They are also better at classifying objects, and they are better at coming up with creative ideas. Okay, and then the next advantage is that children who know a second language have sharper awareness of the language. Next, bilinguals are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease in old age, and here states that growing up with two languages is an asset to children's intellectual development. Okay, so those are the four main advantages of bilingualism. So choosing bilingual education usually depends on having money or on being an expatriate, and it is mostly a preserve of the middle classes. So while a second language is often considered as a problem in the education of lower status people, it is seen as a mark of distinction in those of higher status. So for people of from lower classes, they feel that second language presents a problem. Learning a language is a problem, but for people in the higher classes, then they see it as like, this is the sign, the mark of a high class a community. They know more than one languages. They know a second language. They can speak foreign languages. So very different perspectives and idea about second language status. Okay. So bilingualism by choice mostly takes place outside the main educational context of second language teaching and varies according to the parents' wishes. So perhaps in the future you also want to raise a bilingual child. You want to have some bilingual children perhaps, and it is because you want it. They don't want to be bilinguals, but you as parents want them to learn more than one languages. Who knows, you can raise very smart bilingual children. Okay, the next role of second language is for the religious use. So in the religious use, people use the second language because of their religion. So for example, for centuries after its decline as an international language, Latin functioned as a religious language of the Catholic Church. So Latin is used mostly for the church activities. And also for Muslims, they read the Holy Quran in Arabic. Regardless of whether they live in an Arabic-speaking country like Saudi Arabia or in multilingual country like Malaysia. Even us, the Muslim in Indonesia also read Holy Quran in Arabic, right? And Jews outside Israel continue to learn Hebrew so that they can pray in it and study the Bible and other sacred texts. And in parts of India, Christianity is identified with English, and in Ethiopia with Aramaic. Okay, so second language can be used for religious purposes. Now the next one, second language as an official languages. So according to some expert, here we have Lafont in 1987. He stated that 32 countries recognize more than one language for official purposes. For example, Switzerland has 4 languages: German, French, Italian, and Romance, and uses Latin on its stamps. And the Singapore government uses English, Mandarin, Malay, and also Tamil. So second language can be the official language within a country. Okay, next. And sometimes a language can become an official language with few native speakers. Hebrew was revived by a popular movement in Israel long before being adopted by the new state. And the teaching of Hebrew in Israel didn't just educate one group in the language of another, but created a group of people who spoke a second language that would become the first language of their children. And in some countries, an official language is selected that has, at least to start with, a small proportion of native speakers. For example, Swahili in Tanzania, where only 10% of the population are native speakers. So to be an official language, second language usually has a few native speakers. Swahili, has 10% of the population as the native speakers. And another pattern is found in the Congo, where French is the official language, but there are 4 national languages. Swahili, we have Chiluba, Lingala, and also Kikongo, which are used as lingua francas among speakers of different mother tongues. So French is the official language, but there are 4 national languages. Okay, very interesting. Sorry if I pronounce the languages not in a correct way. And then to take a final example, in Pakistan, 4 languages are spoken in different provinces. We have Pashto, Punjabi, Balochi, and also Sindhi. And Urdu is used all over the country, as is Arabic for religious purposes. And English is the official language. So in one country, people can use so many languages for different purposes. So some has the native speakers, the other do not necessarily have native speaker, but that's okay. Okay, in multilingualism, multilingualism and second language learning, regardless of whether they have more than one official language, most countries contain large number of people who use other languages. So this is about the multilingualism. So according to the Eurydice network in Europe, 8% of the students aged 15 say that at home they speak a language other than the language of instruction. So what does this mean? So it means that, although somebody doesn't speak a language at school, but at home they may speak a different language. So the language used at school may be different from the language used at home and also in the community. So in this way, then, from the example, 15% of students speak other language from the language used at schools. And like us, at school we use Bahasa Indonesia, at home we use Japanese, yeah, for example, like that. And in England, yeah, people uses one language for official purposes, and a survey of London found that 32% of children spoke languages other than English at home, and that 300 different languages were spoken. Oh wow, this is a very interesting information. So nearly one third, right, 32% of the children spoke language other than English at home, and they speak like around 300 different languages. So that's support multilingualism really. And then in the year 2000, 47 million US residents over the age of 4 spoke a language other than English at home. So that is 1 in 5 of the population. And this trend has led to a worry about the continuing status and importance of English. So with the use of many more languages other than English, then there is a worry about the status and importance of English in the future. Do you think English will still be used in the future, or do you think more big languages will be used as an international language, or do you think new language can be created to support the multilingualism or internationalism? Yeah, it is really possible. Yeah. Now, what about the roles of second language in internationalism? So second language has no real role within students' own society. Yeah, for example, English is not learned in China because of its usefulness inside China. But second language is taught in the educational system because of the benefits it brings from outside of the home country. And any language may be taught with the aim of promoting relationship with other countries that use it. Okay, so a particular language, a particular country, or indeed a particular individual may decide to learn a second language for a purpose outside their own society, whether to do business with other countries, to gain access to a scientific literature, or to a cultural heritage, or to be able to work in other countries. Okay, so when we learn English, for example, sometimes it is not for our own society purposes. Yeah, the purpose is not to use it in our society, but to the community outside of our country, for example. Okay, next. So when we are talking about the use of language, we know that language is not politically neutral. Yeah, deciding which language should be used in a particular country or which other language should be taught affects the economics and cultural life not only of the country itself, yeah, but also of the country from which the language comes. For example, English. On the one hand, in Singapore, the decision to make English its first language must have played a significant part in its economic success. On the other hand, the UK itself can try to keep economic links with many parts of the world by promoting English. Okay, so the use of English can influence the economic and also the cultural life, not only of the country itself, but also the other country, or the origin country from which the language comes. Okay, now when we are talking about the role of second language, we also will know that there are so many language user groups. So there are 8 groups here. Number 1, people speaking their native language. Yeah. So a group of people who speak the native language, number 1. Number 2, people who use a second language within the majority community. Number 3, people historically from a particular community reacquiring its language as a second language. Number 4, people speaking a second language as a short-term visitors to another country or to short-term visitors to their country. Number 5, people using a second language with friends or spouses. So if you married to a foreigner and then you speak their language, so this is you becomes number 5, the fifth group, people using a second language with the spouses or friends. Okay. And number 6, people using a second language internationally for specific functions. 7, students and teachers acquiring or conveying an education through a second language. And 8, students and teachers learning or teaching second language at school. So there are so many groups using a second language. Yeah, you know there are 8 groups. So now, what are the goals of second language teaching? Why do we need to teach second language? So here we have 3 main goals: central goals, international goals, and also individual goals. Let's look at them one by one. So central goals of teaching. This is to serve the needs of the society within itself, particularly with the need for different groups to interact with each other. And there are 3 types of central goals of teaching here: assimilationist language teaching, transitional language teaching, and language maintenance and bilingual language teaching. Okay, central goals of teaching, there are 3 types. Let's look at them one by one. So assimilationist language teaching. So this is the teaching that hopes or expects people to give up or stop their native languages and to become speakers of the majority central language of the country. So the minority speakers learn the majority central language and give up their first language, stop their first language. This is what we call assimilationist language teaching. For example, the 5-month courses teaching Hebrew to new immigrants to Israel. Here the motivation was to unify people coming from many parts of the world within a single cultural heritage. Second one, transitional language teaching. So here, minority speakers learn to function in the majority central language for some purposes without giving up the first language, without stop speaking the first language. For example, new adult immigrants to Sweden, for example, must be offered the opportunity to study Swedish by their local municipality within 3 months. So in Wallace terms, assimilationist teaching is subtractive in that the learners feel their first language is being taken away from them, while transitional teaching is additive in that it adds the ability to function in the majority language without displacing the first language. So we can compare between assimilationist teaching and also transitional language teaching. In assimilationist, the first language should be stopped, not used anymore. But in transitional language teaching, the people can still speak their first language. The first language is being kept. They keep using it. It's okay. There is no rule to stop using the first language. Is that clear? If that's clear, then we go to the next type of language teaching. It is called the language maintenance and bilingual language teaching. Here it is the teaching to teach minority languages to speakers of that language. So many ethnic groups want to keep their own language alive in their children. And many groups also organize language maintenance classes outside of the official um, educational system. For example, in London, classes for children can be found taking place in Chinese, Polish, Greek, and other languages, usually after normal school hours or at weekends. So to maintain the languages, yeah, people send their children to follow a language class other than the main language spoken in the country. So like in London, yeah, there are classes for children to learn Chinese, Polish, Greek, and the other languages. Okay, that's about the first teaching. Second, international goals of language teaching. Yeah, there are four main goals for the careers, for higher education, access to research and information, and also for traveling reasons. Okay, let's see one by one. So career. So now many careers require knowledge of another language. And language teaching is to train people for the international business world. And nations will always need individuals who are capable of bridging the gap between the two countries for economic or political purposes, of course, right? Next, apart from career, yeah, international, yeah, goal of second language teaching is for the higher education. Now, the importance for the student is not the second language itself, but the knowledge and the qualification that are gained through the second language. So people can learn a second language and they can pursue higher degree. They can study abroad. And in studying abroad, they can get the qualification, the degree, yeah, the master degree, the doctorate degree. So the most important thing is not the second language itself, but the second language helps people to reach, yeah, better or higher education. Hopefully this is clear for you. Okay, I'll continue with the next. So by learning a second language, people can also get access to research information, and yeah, they can be, yeah, an updated, yeah, people, or perhaps I should not say updated people, but they will have an update for the information. They will be well informed, yeah. So second language will help them to be a people who can get the most recent or the current updates about the flow of information and research. Okay. And then the last one, for international purpose of second language teaching, is for travel purposes. So sometimes many students learn a second language to travel abroad. Okay, so for leisure activity of tourism, they want to travel, yeah, they want to go all over the world, enjoy the leisure time, enjoy their free time, yeah, traveling here and there. Yeah, perhaps you want to do that as well. Where do you want to go? Yeah, you want to go to Mongolia, Australia, New Zealand, America, or where? Yeah, okay, so for travel. Okay, so now the last one, we have individual goals of language teaching. So at least we have 6 goals for the learning a second language: understanding of foreign cultures, understanding language itself, cognitive training, general educational values, learning the second language as an academic subject, and second language learning as social change. Okay, which one is yours? What is your goals of learning English? Yeah. Okay, so perhaps you don't know the goals of learning English. Perhaps, okay. Oh, because you are the student of an English department, so you learn English without having any individual purposes. Yeah. No personal purposes, no motivation. Yeah. Because you are going to the wrong department perhaps. Yeah, who knows? Okay, so now let's see one by one understanding foreign cultures. So here I have an example. The Japanese syllabus aims at instilling a broader perspective and an understanding of different cultures, fostering attitudes of respect for such ideas and the ability to live with people of different cultures. So if we learn a second language, then we also learn the different culture. In that way, we can understand the culture, we can respect them and appreciate the differences between our culture and the second language speakers' culture. Understanding language itself, yeah, sometimes we learn a language because we want to understand the language itself, the linguistics, yeah, of the target language. Cognitive training, the third one. So yeah, so people who speak more languages are more flexible at problem solving and are better, yeah, able to distinguish form from meaning. So people who speak two languages at least or more languages are believed to be like smart people. Yeah, they are very good at problem solving. They have the logical and reasoning powers. So congratulations, because you learn English, you can speak English. Okay, so you already master three languages, so you have the logical and reasoning powers. Do you have that? Do you have the powers? And are you good at problem solving? Normally, yes. If you are not good at problem solving, so you are abnormal. Okay? Okay, just kidding, yeah? Okay. Next, general educational values. Okay, just as a sport is held to train children how to work in a team and to promote leadership qualities, second language teaching yeah, can also teach the moral values. Okay, promote moral values. For example, in a Malaysian English syllabus, demands that teachers should also use materials that emphasize the principles of good citizenship, moral values, and the Malaysian way of life. From another point, another angel, yeah, another not angel, angle, yeah. Okay. From different perspective, many people support autonomous language learning, where the learners take on the responsibility for themselves, because this is in tune with democracy. Okay, so teaching second language also teach educational values, good values, moral values, yeah, the good things about uh, being good people, yeah. Teaching second language also support the autonomous language learning, yeah, so that learners also develop the responsibility for themselves, yeah. The next, learning second language as an academic subject. Sometimes we don't know the reasons, but because it is offered as one of the courses in our department, so we take it, yeah, as a makul, yeah, mata kuliah, academic subject, we take it. And second language learning as a social goal. Social goal. So education and second language teaching can also be seen as a vehicle of social change. Oh, what did I say? I said social goal. Sorry, I mean social change, perubahan sosial. So according to Paulo Freire, the way out of the perpetual conflict between oppressors and the oppressed is through problem posing dialogues between teachers and students, which make both more aware of the important issues in their life and their solutions. Yeah, learning different language can be the vehicle of social change. Yeah, perhaps if we have the conflict with the people who speak the second language, then if we learn the second language our communication will be better, and problem can be solved, social the changes can also be made. um, Perhaps that the simple explanation, but the more explanation can be found in the chapter, because I take this explanation from a chapter in the second language learning and language teaching, the fourth edition by Vivian Cook. Okay, so you can learn the details information in this chapter, so I will distribute the chapter to you, and yes, you can learn again about the second language teaching. Feel free to ask me if there are unclear parts that you want to know more, or if you have some curiosity about the content of this material, yeah, so to us. Okay, so I think that's my explanation about this subject. Thank you very much, and bye bye.